My wife demanded a divorce in the house. You can't afford a lawyer to fight me. I replied, you're right. She served me papers in court, only to see the city's most feared, expensive divorce attorney sit down next to me. He looked at her and said, he doesn't have to afford me. I'm his older brother. I, 38 male, mid-level project manager, quiet, predictable, the kind of guy people assume will always take the reasonable path. I don't dominate rooms. I don't argue for sport. I just keep things running. Bills paid, house maintained, life steady. That was basically my role in the marriage, too, even when I didn't realize it yet. The night my wife told me she wanted a divorce didn't start with drama. No shouting, no tears. She sat across from me at the kitchen table with a legal pad and a pen, like she was walking me through a budget meeting. Same table where we'd eaten dinner 100 times, same overhead light, everything normal except the way she didn't look nervous at all. I've thought about this carefully, she said, sliding the pad toward me. This is what makes the most sense. At the top of the page was the word divorce, underlined. Below it were bullet points. She keeps the house, I move out within 30 days, assets divided fairly, which somehow still landed heavily in her favor. She talked through it calmly, confidently, like she was explaining something obvious to a slow student. Then she said the line that changed everything. You can't afford a lawyer to fight me, she said, not unkindly, just factual. So let's not waste time. She leaned back and waited. I looked at the paper, then at her, then back at the paper. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I didn't push back. You're right, I said. Her shoulders relaxed. A small smile showed up, just for a second. She thought that was it. Conversation over. Decision made. That was the moment she decided the ending without realizing she'd skipped the middle. The marriage hadn't blown up suddenly. It had thinned out over years. Comments disguised as jokes, decisions made without asking me, my paycheck slowly becoming our lifestyle, then just hers. Any disagreement framed as me being difficult. My calm labeled as weakness. Somewhere along the way, she convinced herself I'd always fold. Once she announced the divorce, the entitlement went from subtle to obvious. She started packing things before anything was filed. Not shared things, my things. Tools, old photo albums, stuff she said I probably didn't need. She booked a real estate consultation without telling me and walked agents through the house like I was already gone. She told mutual friends I'd agreed to everything and was just taking time to process. I moved into the guest room, not because she asked, but because I needed space to think, to observe, to confirm something I already suspected. She had mistaken quiet for helpless. A few days later, she casually mentioned she'd hired an attorney, one of the best in the city, expensive, aggressive, known for dragging cases out until the other side gave up. He doesn't lose, she said, watching my face, especially against men who think they can stall. I didn't react. That seemed to irritate her more than anger would have. 3 weeks later, she escalated. I was at work when a process server walked into our open office and asked for me by full name. Everyone heard it. Everyone watched as I signed and accepted the envelope. Divorce papers. She could have mailed them. She chose not to. Control move. Embarrassment as leverage. That night, I read everything carefully. The filing was aggressive. Full ownership of the house, temporary spousal support, claims that I was emotionally distant and financially controlling. That one almost made me laugh, but I didn't. An hour later, she texted, "Hope this clears things up." I replied, "Received." The first court date came quickly. Preliminary hearing, just procedural stuff, but tone setting matters. She made sure I knew her attorney's name, dropped it into conversations, let it linger. The morning of the hearing, I wore a simple suit and arrived early, sat alone on the bench outside the courtroom. Calm, not nervous, just focused. She arrived later with her attorney, perfectly put together. He didn't look at me, she did. "You still have time to sign and avoid embarrassing yourself," she whispered as she walked past. I said nothing. We were called in. She sat at the plaintiff's table with her attorney, laying out folders and tablets like a performance was about to start. I walked to the defense table, alone. For about half a minute, Then the courtroom door opened again. I didn't turn around, but I heard the footsteps, unhurried, confident. The chair beside me slid back. A leather briefcase hit the table. Someone adjusted their cuffs. The air changed. Her attorney stiffened. My wife turned around. Her face drained instantly. The judge looked up and paused. The man next to me stood. Calm voice, controlled presence. "Good morning, Your Honor. Appearing on behalf of the defendant." The judge nodded. "State your name for the record." He did. Her attorney froze. My wife's mouth opened, then closed. She leaned toward her attorney, whispering fast. He didn't respond. The judge looked back at us. "Are you retained for this matter?" My brother smiled slightly. "He doesn't have to afford me. I'm his older brother." The silence wasn't dramatic. It was mathematical. Everyone recalculating. She stared at me like I'd just rewritten the rules without telling her. I met her eyes. Calm, no satisfaction, just certainty. Her attorney immediately asked for a recess. The judge granted it. In the hallway, the confidence cracked. "You lied to me," she hissed. "You said you couldn't afford." "I said you were right about the money." Her attorney pulled her aside. Low voices, tense. My brother leaned toward me. "You holding up?" I said, "I am," and I meant it. When we went back in, everything shifted. Demands softened into suggestions. Absolute claims became negotiable positions. The house was no longer untouchable. Assets were suddenly subject to review. My brother dismantled her filing piece by piece. Dates, bank records, timelines, no theatrics, just facts. Temporary orders were issued, fair ones. No one moved out. Accounts frozen, no spousal support for now. The judge made it clear this wasn't going to be a steamroll. She avoided my eyes as we left. That should have been the wake-up call. It wasn't. Over the next several months, she tried everything. She attempted to move money before Discovery caught it, documented and shut down. She claimed valuables went missing. Inventory proved otherwise. She delayed mediation, hoping to wear me down. My brother anticipated every move and blocked every stall. Then came the house. She'd been telling people it was hers, already talking about renovations, future plans, how she'd finally make it her own. What she didn't know was that my brother had already pulled all records tied to that property. Mortgage documents, title history, payment breakdowns. The house was jointly titled, yes, but the down payment had come entirely from me before the marriage, documented, traceable. The major renovations had been paid from my income, not joint savings. At mediation, when those numbers were laid out, her attorney went quiet. She didn't. "This isn't fair," she said.
"Built a life here. You lived in it," my brother replied evenly. "He financed it." She made one last move, accused me of hiding money through family gifts, claimed financial misconduct. My brother slid a folder across the table. "Gift record, reported, legal, 2 years old," he said. "Do you want to keep going?" Her attorney shook his head. The final hearing was brief. The judge had already seen enough. Equitable distribution, no spousal support, house to be sold, proceeds split with credit to me for premarital contributions. Clean, clear, final. No speeches, no grand moment, just consequences. Afterward, she stood in the hallway, arms crossed, anger and regret fighting on her face. "You blindsided me," she said. "No," I replied. "You underestimated me." The house sold a few months later. I moved into a smaller place, quieter, lighter, mine. We don't talk now. There's nothing left to negotiate. What I learned is simple. Silence isn't weakness. Preparation beats entitlement. And people who rely on your compliance panic when they realize you never needed their permission. If you made it to the end, subscribe. Unlike my ex, I don't promise things I can't deliver, and there's more coming.